The city was alive that morning. Cars moved fast, horns echoed, and people rushed down the streets. Among the crowd was Daniel Carter, a man everyone knew as a millionaire businessman. His suit was sharp, his shoes polished, and his eyes fixed on the tall building at the end of the road. He had an important meeting. Time was money, and Daniel never wasted a second. But in his rush, something slipped from his pocket. A small black wallet. It landed on the ground, almost hidden near the sidewalk. Daniel never noticed. He kept walking, his phone pressed to his ear, his voice sharp as he gave orders. The wallet stayed there, silent, waiting. Hundreds of people passed by. Some stepped close, but no one looked down. Then came Emma. Emma was not like the others. Her clothes were old and torn. Her hair, once golden, was now dull from dust and weather. She had been homeless for 2 years, living under bridges and in corners no one cared to see. Every morning, she sat on the same street with a small cardboard sign, "Hungry. Please help." That day, Emma's stomach growled louder than usual. She hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. She hugged herself against the cold wind. Her eyes scanned the ground, not for treasure, but for coins someone might drop. And then, she saw it. A black wallet. Emma's heart jumped. She looked around. No one seemed to notice. Carefully, she picked it up. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside, she saw money. A lot of money. Neatly folded bills. Her eyes widened. She hadn't seen so much cash in years. For a moment, her hunger screamed inside her, this could buy food for a month, maybe more. But it wasn't just money. There were credit cards, business cards, and in the middle, a small family photo. A man in a suit, smiling. Beside him, a woman holding 2 children. They looked happy, safe, and warm. Emma stared at the picture. Her throat tightened. She remembered when she once had a family too. Long ago, before bad luck and pain had taken everything away. She closed the wallet quickly, her breath heavy. Her mind raced. If I keep this, I could finally sleep in a bed. I could eat tonight. I could survive. But another voice inside whispered, this belongs to someone. Maybe he is searching for it now. Maybe his children need him to have it back. Emma stood frozen. People pushed past her. One man shouted, "Move out of the way." But she didn't move. She was caught between hunger and honesty. She looked again at the photo. The man's smile seemed to speak to her, "Please return me to my family." Emma bit her lip. She knew the right thing. But the right thing was the hardest thing. She slowly slipped the wallet into her coat pocket, holding it close to her chest. Not to steal, but to protect it. She whispered, "I'll find you. I'll give it back." But inside, fear grew. How can I even reach him? Who will believe a homeless woman trying to return a millionaire's wallet? They will call me a thief. Her eyes filled with tears. She wanted to do good, but the world never trusted people like her. At the same time, far away in the tall glass building, Daniel suddenly touched his pocket. Empty. His heart stopped. The wallet was gone. He stood up in shock. "Where is it?" he shouted at his assistant. He checked his briefcase, his coat, the floor. Nothing. His face grew pale. That wallet was not just money. It held everything, his cards, his identity, his memories. Especially the photo of his family, the one thing he carried everywhere. Daniel rushed out of the office, scanning the street, but the crowd was thick. Too many faces, too many places. The wallet was lost. Back on the sidewalk, Emma walked slowly. Every step felt heavy. She looked at the wallet again, then at the bakery across the street. The smell of fresh bread made her mouth water. She pressed her hand against her stomach. One loaf, no one will know, she thought. But then she remembered the children in the photo. She shook her head, forcing herself to turn away. Her journey had only begun. She didn't know that this single choice, finding a wallet on the ground, would change not only her life, but also his. Because fate had placed them on the same path. And soon, their worlds would collide. Emma walked down the crowded street, her fingers still wrapped tightly around the black wallet. Her heart beat fast. Every step she took felt heavier. The sound of traffic, people shouting, music from shops, all of it faded behind the noise inside her head. What do I do now? She thought. Her stomach growled again, louder this time. She hadn't eaten for more than a day. She looked at the bakery window near the corner. Fresh loaves of bread sat on display, golden brown, soft, steaming with warmth. The smell reached her nose, sweet and heavy, almost pulling her inside. Her throat went dry. With just one note from this wallet, I can eat today. Maybe tomorrow too. No one would know. She held the wallet tighter, pressing it against her chest as if it might disappear. Emma walked past the bakery, but her legs felt weak. She stopped, turned back, and stared at the bread again. The shopkeeper was laughing with a customer, wrapping cakes in shiny paper. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, I'm so hungry. Her fingers trembled as she opened the wallet again, hiding it from others. The money stared back at her, thick, clean bills. It would be so easy. Just one piece of paper. Just one small lie. But then her eyes moved to the photo again. The man in the picture, Daniel, stood tall, his arm around a woman, their 2 children in front of them. A family. Smiling. Whole. Emma froze. The children's eyes looked at her, almost alive. They reminded her of her own daughter, the one she had lost years ago when life had broken apart. She blinked hard, forcing back the memories, but her heart ached. This money isn't mine. This man, maybe he has children waiting for him. Maybe this wallet is more than just cash. Maybe it's his life. She snapped the wallet shut. Her chest rose and fell quickly. She whispered to herself, I can't do it. Emma stepped away from the bakery, but the hunger only grew sharper. Her knees felt weak, and she almost collapsed on the sidewalk. People walked around her without stopping. Some looked at her in disgust. One man muttered, lazy beggar. Another woman pulled her child closer, as if Emma carried some kind of disease. Emma lowered her head in shame. Her throat burned. She wanted to scream, I'm not bad. I didn't choose this life. But no words came out. She sat on a cold bench at the edge of the park. The wallet rested on her lap. She kept staring at it. For a moment, her mind drifted. What if she kept it? What if she used the money for herself? She could rent a small room for a week. She could finally sleep in a bed with a pillow, not on concrete. She could eat hot food every night. She could buy clean clothes, maybe even look for a job. The dream felt so close. Her lips even curled into a small smile at the thought. But then, another voice inside her whispered, it's not yours. Happiness built on a lie will never last. Emma clenched her fists. Her heart was fighting a war between survival and honesty. As the sun began to set, the park lights flickered on. The air grew colder. Emma pulled her thin coat tighter around herself. She could almost hear the wallet speak, choose. Decide now. Far across the city, Daniel sat in his office, restless. His wallet was still missing. He had shouted at his assistant, searched every corner, even checked the elevator and car. Nothing. His face looked pale, his hands restless. He thought of the money, the cards, but most of all, he thought of the family photo. The only copy he carried with him. His voice was low as he whispered to himself, please, let someone good find it. Back on the bench, Emma closed her eyes. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She whispered softly, I'm hungry, but I'm not a thief. She stood up, wiping her face with the back of her hand. I'll find him. Somehow. Even if no one believes me. Her eyes burned with quiet strength. She tucked the wallet deep inside her coat and walked into the night. She didn't know where to go, or how to reach him. She didn't know his name, except what she had read on a single business card inside, Daniel Carter. She repeated it in her mind over and over, as if holding onto a key. Daniel Carter. Emma didn't know it yet, but this decision, choosing honesty over hunger, was the first step to something much bigger. Fate had started moving, slowly, like a storm forming in the distance. And soon, 2 lives would collide in a way neither of them could imagine. The night was long for Emma. She slept under the broken roof of an abandoned bus stop, the wallet pressed tightly against her chest. Every sound, the barking of dogs, the whistle of the wind, footsteps of strangers, made her afraid someone would take it away. When the sun rose, she stood up, tired but determined. She whispered, "Today, I'll find him. I'll give it back." She opened the wallet again and looked at the business card. The name was clear, Daniel Carter. The address printed in neat letters belonged to a tall glass building in the city center. She had seen that place before but never dared to step inside. It was a world too clean, too sharp, too far from hers. Still, Emma walked there. Her steps were slow. People rushed past her, busy with their own lives. Some looked at her with disgust. A guard at a jewelry shop told her to move along. A woman in a fancy coat held her bag tighter as Emma passed. Emma lowered her eyes but kept walking. She wasn't begging today. She had a mission. Finally, she reached the tall building. Its windows shone like mirrors, reflecting the sky. The name Carter Enterprises was written in silver letters across the front. Emma's heart raced. This must be it. This must be his world. She walked toward the entrance, holding the wallet close. But before she could step inside, 2 security guards blocked her way. "Where do you think you're going?" one asked, his tone sharp. Emma swallowed hard. I need to see Mr. Carter. I found his wallet." She pulled it out carefully. The guards exchanged looks, then laughed. "Yeah, right. A homeless woman with a millionaire's wallet? You probably stole it." "No." Emma cried. "I didn't steal. I found it on the street. Please, I need to give it back." The guard snatched the wallet from her hand, flipping it open. His eyes widened when he saw the cash inside. "This is real," he muttered. Then he glared at her again. "Wait here." Emma stood nervously, her arms hugging herself. People passing by stared at her, whispering. Some pointed. She wished the ground would swallow her. Minutes later, the guard returned, with Daniel. He looked just like the photo in the wallet. Tall, strong shoulders, sharp suit. His face was serious, his eyes searching. The moment he saw the wallet in the guard's hand, he rushed forward and grabbed it. "Where did you get this?" His voice was loud, demanding. Emma's heart pounded. She took a shaky step forward. I found it on the street. Near the corner yesterday." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "You expect me to believe that? My wallet has been missing for a whole day. You had plenty of time to use the money." Emma shook her head desperately. "No, I swear. I didn't take anything. I wanted to return it, but I didn't know how." Daniel opened the wallet quickly, counting the bills, checking the cards. Everything was still there. Nothing missing. Still, his face was cold. "You could have spent it," he said bitterly. "You could have thrown away the cards. But you didn't. Why?" Emma's lips trembled. "Because it wasn't mine. And you have a family. I saw the photo." Her eyes filled with tears. "I know what it feels like to lose family. I couldn't take this from you." For a moment, silence hung heavy between them. But then Daniel's assistant walked up, whispering, "Sir, we should call the police. She might have stolen it and now she's pretending." Emma's face turned pale. "No. Please, I only wanted to do the right thing." Daniel looked at her again. Her clothes were dirty, her shoes torn. She looked weak, hungry, broken. Yet her eyes carried a strange honesty, a pain he could not ignore. Still, his pride, his anger, his fear of being cheated, all of it mixed together. "Leave," he said coldly. "Don't ever come near me again." Emma froze. Her heart shattered. She wanted to scream, "I saved this for you. I starved all night, but I didn't touch it." But the words stuck in her throat. Daniel turned and walked back into the building. The guards pushed her away. People around laughed softly, some shook their heads. Emma stumbled to the bench outside, tears running down her cheeks. She whispered, "Why? Why did I even try? No one ever believes me." Inside the building, Daniel sat at his desk, staring at the photo in the wallet. His children's smiles looked back at him. And suddenly, he remembered the way Emma's voice had broken, the tears in her eyes, the truth in her words. For the first time, doubt touched his heart. Had he just made a terrible mistake? The cold evening air pressed heavy against Emma's skin. She sat on the bench outside the tall glass building, her face buried in her hands. Her chest hurt. She had done the right thing, but instead of thanks, she had been treated like a thief. Her stomach twisted with hunger, but the pain in her heart was sharper. "Why did I even try?" she whispered. "I could have used the money, but I didn't. And still, no one believes me." Her tears fell on her worn-out coat. People walked past without stopping. To them, she was invisible. Just another homeless woman crying on the street. Inside the building, Daniel sat in his office. The wallet rested on the desk in front of him. He ran his fingers over the leather. Everything was inside. Every card. Every bill. Even the small photo of his family. Nothing had been taken. So why did the woman return it? Daniel leaned back in his chair. He replayed the scene in his head, the way her hand shook when she gave him the wallet, the way her voice cracked when she spoke of family. Those weren't the actions of a liar. They were the words of someone telling the truth. His assistant stepped forward. "Sir, you should have let us call the police. People like her can't be trusted. They survive by stealing." Daniel frowned. "But she didn't steal anything. Not a single dollar is missing." "Maybe she was too scared," the assistant said quickly. "Maybe she knew she would be caught. These people, they know how to act, how to look innocent." Daniel's chest tightened. For years, he had lived in a world of contracts, deals, and competition. Trust was dangerous. People lied, cheated, and betrayed to climb higher. Could this woman be the same? Or was she different? He pressed his fingers against his forehead. His pride whispered, "She is nothing but a thief." But his heart whispered, "Look again. Think again." Back outside, Emma wiped her face and stood up. She couldn't stay near this building any longer. Every look from strangers, every laugh behind her back, cut deeper. She walked slowly toward the empty park, her steps heavy. She sat on the same bench where she had thought about keeping the wallet. Now she had returned it, and instead of peace, she felt more broken. She whispered, "I only wanted to do good. Why is good never enough?" The wind blew cold, carrying the smell of roasted chestnuts from a street cellar nearby. Emma's stomach growled again. She pulled her coat tighter. Meanwhile, Daniel sat alone in his office, staring at the city lights. His assistant had gone home. The building was quiet, but his mind was not. He opened the wallet again, his eyes resting on the family photo. He thought of the woman's words, "I know what it feels like to lose family." Her voice echoed in his head. He remembered the tears in her eyes. They didn't look fake. They looked real. For the first time in years, guilt crept into his heart. He had shouted at her, pushed her away, made her look like a thief in front of everyone. But what if she truly was innocent? What if she had fought hunger, fought temptation, only to protect what was his? Daniel closed his eyes, trying to block the thought. But the image of her trembling hands and tired face wouldn't leave. The next morning, he tried to return to his normal routine. Meetings, phone calls, signatures. But nothing felt the same. Every time he looked at the wallet, he felt a sharp sting of regret. Finally, he made a decision. "Find her," he told his driver. "The woman from yesterday. I want to know where she is." The driver looked surprised. "Sir, do you really want to waste time on her? She's just a homeless woman." Daniel's voice grew firm. "No. She is not just anything. Find her." For hours, the driver searched the streets, asking shopkeepers, looking near bus stops, under bridges, in parks. But Emma was nowhere. She had vanished into the endless crowd of the city. That night, Daniel stood by his window, staring at the rain tapping against the glass. The city lights blurred through the drops. He felt restless, uneasy. Somewhere out there, the woman who had returned his wallet was hungry, cold, and alone. And he had treated her like dirt. He pressed the photo of his children close to his chest. "I made a mistake," he whispered. Out in the storm, Emma huddled under a broken roof, her body shivering, her mind heavy with sorrow. She didn't know it yet, but Daniel Carter's regret was growing stronger every hour. And soon, their paths would cross again. This time, not by accident. The rain fell hard against the city that night. Streets glistened with water, and cars splashed puddles as they sped by. Emma sat beneath the broken roof of an old bus stop, her knees pulled to her chest, her coat soaked through. Every drop of rain felt like ice against her skin. She whispered softly to herself, "I did the right thing. I did the right thing," but her voice cracked. Her heart argued back, "Then why does it hurt so much? Why do they all think I'm a thief?" Her stomach growled again, louder, emptier than ever. She closed her eyes, trying to block the hunger, trying to push away the memory of Daniel's cold eyes and harsh words. Far across the city, Daniel sat in his office, staring at the wallet on his desk. He had cancelled his evening plans, unable to focus. The building was quiet except for the sound of rain against the windows. He picked up the wallet, opened it, and stared at the family photo inside. His children's smiles looked back at him, bright and innocent. And in that moment, Emma's words came rushing back. "I know what it feels like to lose family." Daniel leaned back in his chair, rubbing his forehead. He could still see her face, the dirt on her skin, the tears in her eyes, the way her voice shook. She hadn't looked like a thief. She had looked like someone carrying a weight far too heavy for her shoulders. For years, Daniel had built walls around himself. In business, trust was weakness. He had seen too many betrayals, too many lies. His first instinct was always suspicion. But this time it felt different. He whispered to himself, "She didn't take anything. Not a single dollar." The truth hit him harder than he expected. She had been starving, freezing, desperate, and yet she had returned his wallet untouched. Daniel stood and walked to the window. Below, the city lights flickered in the rain. Somewhere out there, that woman was alone. And he had thrown her away like trash. His chest tightened. "I was wrong," he said under his breath. "Terribly wrong." The next morning, he called his driver. "We need to find her," he ordered. The driver hesitated. "Sir, with respect, do you think it's wise? She's just—" Daniel cut him off sharply. "Don't call her just anything. She saved me. She returned what no one else would have." So they searched. 4 hours, they drove through the city. Daniel looked from the car window at every corner, every bench, every broken shelter. He saw dozens of homeless people, but none were her. They stopped at food stalls, asking questions. "Have you seen a woman, thin, blonde hair, old coat?" Most shook their heads. A shopkeeper said, "Many like her pass by." Daniel's heart sank. The city was too big. She could be anywhere. By evening, the search had failed. The driver sighed, but Daniel's eyes were still firm. "We'll try again tomorrow," he said. "I won't stop until I find her." That night, rain returned. Daniel lay in bed, restless. His house was warm, his bed soft, but his mind would not quiet. He imagined Emma out there in the storm, with no roof, no food, no protection. He turned and saw his children's toys scattered across the floor of the living room. His heart ached. Emma had once been someone's child too. Maybe someone's mother. She had memories, a life, dreams, and now she was reduced to nothing in the eyes of the world. For the first time in years, Daniel felt ashamed, not of losing his wallet, but of how he had treated another human being. The next evening, fate answered. As his car passed through a narrow street, Daniel saw her. Emma. She was sitting on the cold ground, shivering under a broken roof, rain dripping down around her. Her hair was wet, her coat clung to her skin, her lips blue from the cold. "Stop the car!" Daniel shouted. The driver pulled over, and Daniel rushed out into the rain. His expensive suit was quickly soaked, but he didn't care. He approached her slowly. Emma lifted her head, her tired eyes widening in shock. She whispered, "You?" Her voice was weak, almost lost in the storm. Daniel knelt down beside her. For a moment, words failed him. He had never knelt before anyone in his life, not in business, not in pride. But here he was, face to face with the woman he had wronged. His voice was soft, filled with guilt. I was wrong. I didn't believe you. I judged you. And I hurt you. Emma blinked, too weak to answer. Rain slid down her face, mixing with tears. Daniel slowly held out an umbrella, shielding her from the storm. You didn't just return a wallet, he said quietly. You gave me back something far greater: faith, hope, humanity. For the first time, his eyes softened. Emma stared at him, her lips trembling. She had no strength left to speak, but her tears told the story. And in that moment, Daniel knew, this was no ordinary meeting. This was destiny. Two lives, worlds apart, pulled together by one lost wallet. And their story was only beginning. Rain still poured heavily, the sound echoing across the empty street. Daniel stood beside Emma, holding the umbrella above her, shielding her from the storm. For the first time, his sharp business suit and polished shoes didn't matter. What mattered was the woman sitting weak and shivering on the cold ground. Emma stared at him, her tired eyes full of confusion. She could not understand why this man, who had accused her, humiliated her, was now kneeling before her. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Why are you here?" Daniel's voice was soft, almost broken. Because I was wrong. I let my pride blind me. I thought the worst of you, when you showed me the best. Emma's throat tightened. For 2 years, no one had spoken to her with kindness. She looked down, afraid her tears would not stop. Daniel reached into his pocket, pulling out the wallet she had once returned. He opened it and showed her the family photo. His fingers shook slightly. This picture, these faces, they are my life. And you protected them when you could have walked away. You were hungry, yet you chose honesty. Do you know what that means to me? Emma blinked, speechless. Daniel continued, his words heavy with emotion. I thought money gave me power. I thought wealth made me strong. But last night, as I sat in my warm home, I realized. I am weaker than you. Because even with nothing, you carried more honor than I ever did. Emma's tears spilled freely now. She had never imagined a man like him, a millionaire, a powerful figure, would ever speak such words to her. Daniel looked around at the rain-soaked street, then back at her. Come with me. Not as a beggar, not as someone to pity, but as a human being who deserves a chance. Let me help you. Emma's lips parted, but no sound came. She felt fear, fear of hope. Too many times, life had given her promises only to break them. What if this was another illusion? Another cruel joke? Seeing her hesitation, Daniel gently placed his hand on his chest. I'm not offering you charity. I'm offering you dignity. A roof over your head. Warm food. A chance to stand again. Nothing more, unless you choose it. His eyes were steady, his voice sincere. For a long moment, Emma simply stared. Then, slowly, she nodded. Daniel helped her to her feet. She was weak, so he wrapped his coat around her shoulders. The warmth of the fabric made her shiver even more, but this time with relief. Together, they walked to the car. The driver looked shocked but said nothing as Daniel carefully guided Emma inside. That night, for the first time in years, Emma slept in a real bed. The sheets were soft, the pillow warm. She ate soup and bread until her hunger finally eased. Tears slid down her face as she whispered into the dark, "Thank you." The next morning, Daniel visited her. He had changed out of his expensive suit into something simple. Sitting across from her, he smiled gently. You don't owe me anything. But if you'd like, I can offer you a small job. Something simple, to start. You can rebuild your life step by step. Emma's hands shook as she held the bowl of porridge he had given her. She could barely believe his words. No one had trusted her with work in years. No one had even looked at her as human. Her voice was quiet, trembling. Why me? Daniel leaned back, his eyes thoughtful. Because fate doesn't make mistakes. You found my wallet for a reason. You could have taken it, but you didn't. That tells me everything I need to know about your heart. Emma looked down, unable to meet his eyes. Her heart, once buried in pain, felt something new, hope. Days turned into weeks. Emma slowly adjusted to a new life. She worked in Daniel's office doing small tasks, but each day she grew stronger, more confident. She bought her first new dress in years. She walked the streets with her head held higher. Daniel, too, changed. The man who once measured life by money now measured it by kindness. His employees noticed his softer tone, his willingness to listen. His children noticed the warmth in his smile when he came home at night. One evening, Daniel and Emma stood together on the balcony of his home, watching the sunset paint the sky in gold and red. The city stretched out before them, alive and endless. Daniel turned to her. "That day, when you picked up my wallet, it was not chance. It was destiny. Our lives collided so we could both learn. I learned humanity. You learned hope. And together, we both found something greater." Emma's eyes glistened. She whispered, "Maybe fate wanted to give us a second chance." Daniel nodded. "Yes. A second chance. For both of us." The wind blew softly, carrying away the pain of the past. And so, a millionaire and a homeless woman, two strangers from different worlds, found themselves bound not by wealth or power, but by the simple choice of honesty on a cold, hungry day. Their fates had collided, and neither of their lives would ever be the same again.